Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here for story time number 4, and I found a brand new story. I do like finding brand new stories to read because I've never read them before, and it's always exciting to find a book you haven't read before. So today's story is called Rosie Revere, Engineer. I like that story title because it rhymes. Rosie Revere, Engineer. Okay. I hope you enjoy today's story. Rosie Revere, Engineer. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. Here's her class teacher, if you can see. All the children sitting at school just like you normally do. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. And so there is Rosie going through the waste paper basket to see what she can find to do some creativity with and some creating with. Sounds brilliant to me. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never be seen. Look at some of these things that Rosie's been building. Wowee. You might get a challenge from Mrs. Sampson to do some building with things. When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooping over one eye and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts and a hot dog dispenser and helium pants. Oh my goodness me, look at the picture of the helium pants. Mrs. Sampson definitely wants a pair of those. And there's some more of her inventions there. The uncle she loved most was Zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head. From parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps pythons away. I did not know that cheese kept pythons away. Did you know that, children? That's a new fact for Mrs. Sampson. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud. But Fred slapped his knee and he chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. I love it, Fred hooted. Oh, truly I do. But Rosie Revere knew that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf and after that day kept her dreams to herself. So I think she felt that her uncle, there he is, had laughed at her and it hadn't made her feel very happy at all. And that's how it went until one autumn day, her oldest relation showed up for her a stay. Her great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo. She worked building aeroplanes long time ago. She told Rosie tales of the things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. The only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dreams. There she is. Great Aunt Rose. That night, as Rosie laid wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." But questions are tricky and some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. There she is. Can you see her? Asleep in her bed. Well, she's not actually asleep. She's got one eye open. She worked and she worked till the day was half gone. Then hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. Wowee! There is the cheese copter. Can you see it? And there is Rosie pulling it out. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The Hello Cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and round, then froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. Oh dear. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she whizzed and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, "Oh no, never, not ever again will I try to build something to sputter or spin, or build with a lever, a switch or a gear, and never will I be a great engineer." I hope she keeps on trying. She turned round to leave, but then Great Aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. "You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try. This great flop is over. It's time for the next." Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed. "I failed," said dear Rosie. "It's just made of trash." "Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed." "Yes," said her great aunt. "It crashed, that is true. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew." There she is giving Rosie a big hug, telling her how proud she is of her. "Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy on to the next." She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failings, but this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear, to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 built gizmos and gadgets and dookities too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none as quite proudly as Rosie Revere. And there they all are in her class, all having a go. I wonder why Mrs. Sampson likes this story so much. Sometimes when we're in assembly, I talk to you, don't I, about if you don't succeed, you try and try again. And we don't give up at Bevendine, do we? And Rosie, she might have given up the first time something didn't work, but she kept on going, and she kept on going. And that's a really important lesson for everybody, isn't it? If at first it doesn't happen, you keep on trying, and only through trying your best and trying again will you really, really, truly succeed. Well done, everybody. It's been lovely reading this story to you, a brand new story today for story session number 4, and I'll see you all again tomorrow. Bye, everybody.